I did everything a rape victim is supposed to do. I reported it. I allowed the rape kit to be taken. I gave a statement.
This month, 19-year-old Delaney Robinson came forward alleging the University of North Carolina refused to act after she was sexually assaulted.
6 months later, the university has done nothing.
6 months of on-campus investigation run by school administrators she says lacked basic knowledge of sexual assault and showed bias in favor of her alleged attacker, Alan Artis, a star player on the UNC football team. Fed up, Delaney finally took action on her own and was able to secure a warrant for misdemeanor charges of sexual battery and assault. Artis denies the charges.
Everything was completely consensual that happened that night. That's the truth.
Delaney's family says a case this serious should have been handled differently.
What happened to my daughter is a crime and should be investigated by a professional and capable police department.
But on college campuses, cases like Delaney's often are not handled by police, but by schools, in a process that varies from campus to campus and that a growing number of students say is unjust.
There is someone out there who has attacked me and will probably attack someone else, and I live with that.
Do you blame Harvard for that?
I do.
This student wrote a powerful article in Harvard's Crimson alleging she was raped.
He threw my head into a wall. When I kind of came to, he had me bent over his bed.
A rape kit exam confirmed she had been assaulted, but like many victims, she didn't feel comfortable going to the police.
The police, it's an extremely brutal process, and very rarely you get justice.
And after talking to friends who had been through Harvard's on-campus trials, she decided that wasn't an option either.
It's so ambiguous. At least if you go to the police, you know the procedures. At a school, you don't really know. It's this murky unknown.
Presided over, she says, by an unqualified jury.
And they're a mix of faculty, alumni. They're definitely not trained specifically for sexual assault cases.
Does that seem like a credible justice process to you?
No, it doesn't.
She decided not to pursue charges, on campus or off. Harvard responded saying, "Our procedures fell short and we are deeply sorry."
We're going to help schools do a better job of preventing and responding to sexual assault on their campuses.
The U.S. government, responding to an epidemic of sexual assault, actually mandates that schools establish these on-campus trials, or risk losing federal funding. Some say these trials give survivors an important alternative.
The reality is, we know that law enforcement and our criminal courts have not gotten this right for decades.
But other experts say the well-intentioned rush to ramp up enforcement has created a broken system.
Under pressure from the Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, schools across the country have thrown due process out the window.
Janet Halley is one of more than 24 Harvard professors who wrote an open letter protesting that university's process.
In criminal court, the defense has the right to a lawyer, to all the information, to a jury of their peers. All of those things are missing from the on-campus proceedings.
She says the government is pressuring schools to deliver quick guilty verdicts and demanding they use a loose burden of proof, not beyond a reasonable doubt, just more likely than not, creating problems for alleged victims and for alleged perpetrators.
This experience changed our lives.
The University of North Dakota investigated Sherry Warner Seefeld's son Caleb for sexual misconduct.
It was literally a joke of a hearing.
The dean of students and a university lawyer quickly found him guilty and expelled him.
He dropped to the floor and sobbed.
After the police investigated, they charged his accuser with filing a false report and issued a warrant for her arrest. Despite that, the school refused to overturn their decision for more than a year.
That was really awful, wrong, un-American.
She now runs a group of concerned mothers called Families Advocating for Campus Equality. Other students are taking schools to court.
You wouldn't think that you would be treated so unfairly going into it, but you don't know until it's too late.
John Doe maintains he only had consensual sex with a student who accused him of misconduct at UC San Diego.
Jane Rowe was sitting across from me with a screen in front of her, so I couldn't see her. She was just drawing sympathy from these untrained panelists who had no idea what they were doing.
That panel suspended him for a year. For people watching at home who say, look, the bigger problem here is victims of sexual assault not getting justice.
I would agree there are so many more victims and less who are falsely accused, but the bottom line is that there are a lot who are falsely accused, and there are schools who don't know how to handle it and decide to overcorrect.
John Doe sued, and a judge ruled his constitutional right to due process was violated. UC San Diego is appealing the decision, but said they cannot comment on specific allegations. There are dozens of similar lawsuits working their way through the courts right now.
I think we're at the point of institutionalizing and hardening into our system proceedings that are unfair both to the accuser and to the accused. And we're going to look back on this and we're going to say we regret it.